Serve as the Dean of the Ross College of Business and the Executive Director for the Leadership Center. And we are excited today to have Angela Stewart and Dr. Beth West, with us today. Angela Stewart is the Vice President of Human Resources and Diversity Development at Maryhaven. She has been with Maryhaven since 2006 and currently provides executive level leadership and guidance to Maryhaven's operations. She is a member of the Adam Workforce Development Council and the chair of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council at Maryhaven. Angela is responsible for leading Maryhaven's HR strategy, talent acquisition, leadership development, compensation, benefits, employee safety, and well being. In her current role, she actively influences organizational change and is creatively redesigning the approach to attracting and retaining talent. Prior to working at Maryhaven, Angela served as the Director of Human Resources at North Central Mental Health Services and in administration at Southeastern Public Service Authority in Virginia and the Ohio EPA. She holds a BS degree in Business Administration from Urbana University and an MS degree in Administration from Central Michigan University. Dr. Beth West is the Chief Clinical Officer for Maryhaven, Central Ohio's largest and most comprehensive behavioral health service provider, specializing in addiction recovery. While starting this role in September of 2023, she leads all clinical operations across the entire continuum of care at the agency. Prior to this newly formed role at Maryhaven, Dr. West served as the Chief Operations Officer at Health Partners of Western Ohio. During her time at Health Partners, she led 10 fully integrated primary health centers in 7 communities, overseeing medical, dental, behavioral health, pharmacy, and OBGYN care to over 50,000 patients in 2022. Dr. West brings over 22 years of behavioral health experience, with the last 15 being in the integrated community health setting. During her time at the health center, she launched two co-location projects with community behavioral health agencies, bringing primary care providers and clinical support teams where severely and persistently mentally ill and substance abuse patients already felt comfortable seeking care. Dr. West also serves as a faculty associate at Arizona State University in the Doctor of Behavioral Health program, where she assists students in the developing strategies to strengthen relationships with other disciplines and enhance integration of behavioral health into internship opportunities. We're excited today that they will be presenting on the topic of managing knowledge in an intergenerational workforce. If you have questions, please feel free to place them in the chat and we will address them after the presentation. We're in your hands. Thank you.
Welcome to Managing Knowledge in an Intergenerational Workforce. I am Angela Stewart, VP of Human Resources and Diversity Development. I will discuss why this topic is relevant to the modern workplace and provide strategies for intergenerational learning and mitigating knowledge loss in an organization. My colleague, Dr. Beth West, Chief Clinical Officer, will discuss knowledge management, how to capture, transfer knowledge with an intergenerational workforce. Today, generational diversity in the workplace is growing. From seasoned baby boomers with years of experience to fresh-faced Generation Zers who are constantly connected to technology, the workforce is becoming increasingly varied in terms of age. Today, companies often employ people from up to 5 generations, and it's no surprise that each generation has their own unique style, needs, goals, and traits for employers to consider. While managing such an age-diverse workforce, it is certainly not without its challenges. There are many benefits to employing a team that spans multiple generations. We are seeing some of the 5 generations in the workforce that include traditionalists that may be Walmart greeters, helpers in a library, or at a local church. baby boomers who re-enter the workforce to shore up their retirement. Generation X, that are achievement-oriented and climb the ladder of success. Millennials that have entered the workforce with high expectations that desire challenges. And Generation Z, that is purpose-driven and they want to know, what is my why? In this slide, you will see by 2025, 99% of the US workforce will be comprised of baby boomers, Generation X, millennials, and Generation Z. Let's go over a few of the characteristics of each generation. There you see the traditionalists. Now, they were born between 1925 and 1945. Yes, some of these people will be approaching 100. However, what you may see their role as is, as I mentioned, in a Walmart greeter or a public library. They are loyal and respect authority, and they have great work ethic. Baby boomers, they were born between 1946 and 1964. This generation is known for having a strong work ethic also, placing significant importance on professional accomplishments, and for being somewhat reserved for a social perspective, from a social perspective. Only 26% of the internet using baby boomers say they feel very confident when using electronic devices to do things they need to do online. They are team-oriented, they are committed to career progression, and have good work ethic. Generation X. Generation X was born between 1965 and 1980. Because they're the least studied of the current generations at work, Generation X is sometimes referred to as the middle child. Between the ever-popular boomers and millennials, Generation X is widely credited for creating the concept of work-life balance. While they may not be as tech-savvy as younger generations, Generation Xers are actually quite technological adept. A study from DDI found that 54% of Generation X leaders are diligently savvy, which is one pace with 50% of millennial leaders. They are very independent and prefer to work on a project to completion. They are very adaptive and can perform in many environments. Millennials, also known as Generation Y. They were born between 1981 and 2000. This generation, which is already the largest in the workforce, will make up 3/4 of the global workforce by 2025. Millennials thrive on new innovations and scrappy startup mentality. Despite the eagerness that millennials bring to the table, the generation is often criticized for being self-involved or overly dependent on technology. They also require a significant amount of feedback from employers. They like to work collaboratively with others. They desire to have purpose for completing job tasks and like to use tech to figure out how to better complete a task. Generation Z. Generation Z was born between 2001 and 2020, making them the youngest generation in the current workforce. They are the first generation to grow up in the world what is completely wireless. They enjoy multitasking, having relatively short attention span, and prefer completing tasks with minimal steps. They are very tech savvy. They have an entrepreneurial mindset and desire for diversity. Now that we have the characteristics of each generation's work style, we can look at the different communication styles. This is in large part due to technology, and each generation uses it to communicate in very different ways. Baby boomers prioritize personal connections and formal communication. They appreciate phone calls, meetings, and memos. Respecting their experience and knowledge foster effective communication. Generation X prefers straightforward, concise communication. They appreciate emails, face-to-face interactions, but also adapt well to digital channels. They seek work-life balance and value results-driven approach. Generation Y, or millennials, they value authenticity and open communication. They prefer interactive platforms like messaging apps, email, social media. They appreciate recognition for their contributions and enjoy opportunities for growth and development. Generation Z embraces digital communication as second nature. They prefer instant messaging, video conferencing, and collaboration tools. They appreciate authentic real-time feedback and seek diverse, inclusive workplaces. What are some of the solutions to challenges posed by varied intergenerational communication and work styles? Multi-channel approach. Utilize a diverse range of communication channels. Include email, messaging apps, social media, video conferencing to cater to the preferences of different generations. For example, Generation Z may prefer instant messaging, while baby boomers may prefer email or face-to-face. You can segment the message. Tailor messages to resonate with special generations, using language and platforms that align with their preferences. Segmenting messages based on generational preferences ensure each generation receives relevant and relatable communication. For instance, baby boomers may appreciate formal language, while millennials prefer a casual tone. By adapting word and style, you can overcome communication barriers and deliver messages that resonate across generations. You can also provide opportunities to learn. Generational diversity at work presents learning opportunities for all employees, and not just the younger ones. Across generations, employees can teach each other ways of approaching things and more efficient ways of doing business. For example, a more tech-savvy employee might know a faster way for a boomer to approach a manual, tedious work. In the dynamic landscape of today's workforce, characterized by diverse intergenerational communication preferences and work styles, it becomes essential to explore effective solutions. As different generations bring unique perspectives and approaches to the table, finding our harmonious balance requires a strategic, inclusive approach. By fostering open communication channels, promoting understanding of various work styles, and implementing flexible strategies that cater to the strengths of each generation, organizations can cultivate a collaborative and thriving environment. Embracing diversity in communication and work styles not only enhances teamwork, but also contributes to the overall success and adaptability of the workplace. Once we have a clear understanding of distinct characteristics and communication styles associated with each generation, along with the appropriate approaches for engaging them, we can commence the process of transferring organizational knowledge.
Good morning, everyone. Now that Angela has talked about and given us a really good foundation of each generation, what they bring to the table, and how they prefer to be communicated to and with, we're going to dive into knowledge management. We're going to talk about what knowledge management is, and then eventually get to how you transfer the knowledge between generations. Knowledge management is the process of identifying, organizing, storing, and disseminating information within an organization. When knowledge is not easily accessible within an organization, it can be incredibly costly to a business, as valuable time is spent seeking out relevant information versus completing outcome-focused tasks. To manage knowledge within your organization, you must first capture the knowledge within your organization and then transfer that knowledge across your organization. So what is knowledge capture? It refers to the collecting, documenting, and storing of valuable information, insights, experiences, and expertise within an organization. Knowledge capture is essential because it ensures that valuable knowledge and expertise are not lost when employees leave the organization or when projects are completed. It enables the organization to create a repository of information that can be used to solve problems, make informed decisions, and support continuous improvement. There are multiple levels of importance of knowledge capture. Knowledge capture really preserves institutional memory. It ensures that employees' collective wisdom, insights, and experiences are preserved even when individuals leave the organization. It prevents the loss of valuable knowledge and expertise. It supports decision-making. Captured knowledge provides a foundation for informed decision-making. You don't have to continue to reinvent the wheel every time you have a project that is similar to a previous project that you've done. Employees can use past experiences, case studies, and best practices to make well-informed choices. Capturing knowledge also accelerates learning. New employees can benefit from the knowledge captured by quickly accessing information, avoiding redundant efforts, and getting up to speed more efficiently. It promotes innovation in your organization. As we all have found when COVID hit, innovation is key to organizational success. By capturing lessons learned from successes and failures, organizations can foster a culture of innovation. Employees can build upon past experiences and create new solutions. It enables continuous improvement. Knowledge capture allows organizations to identify areas for improvement based on historical data and feedback. It drives continuous enhancement of processes and practices. It enhances collaboration. Capturing knowledge enhances this collaboration between generations as well. When knowledge is captured and shared, it breaks down silos and encourages cross-functional collaboration. Teams can learn from one another and work together much more efficiently and effectively. It also mitigates risk. Capturing knowledge about past mistakes, challenges, and risks can help prevent their recurrence in the future. Organizations can take proactive measures to avoid similar pitfalls. It allows us to be responsive and prepare rather than just reactive. It also facilitates training and development. Knowledge capture supports the creation of training materials, manuals, and resources for employee development, and it ensures consistent learning experiences. Knowledge capture is crucial for maximizing the value of an organization's collective intelligence, improving its resilience, and positioning it for sustained success in an ever-changing business landscape. Now that we've captured the knowledge, let's talk about knowledge transfer. Knowledge transfer is the act of moving knowledge from one source to another. It involves intentionally disseminating knowledge and expertise from individuals, teams, or departments that possess it to those who need it. Knowledge transfer is crucial for the survival of enterprises and is a socio-cognitive process that involves social interaction. It focuses on effectively conveying insights, skills, and experiences to others, enabling them to benefit from the captured knowledge. It's about making knowledge available, understandable, and actionable by all intended recipients. In essence, knowledge capture is about collecting and preserving knowledge, while knowledge transfer is about actively sharing and imparting that knowledge to others. There are two types of knowledge transfer: explicit knowledge transfer and tacit knowledge transfer. Explicit knowledge transfer involves the transfer of knowledge that can be easily articulated, documented, and shared, such as manuals, procedures, or formal training programs. Tacit knowledge refers to knowledge that is difficult to articulate or codify. It's often rooted in personal experiences, intuition, or expertise. It's typically transferred through direct interaction, observation, mentoring, or on-the-job experiences. Here's a visual of those two types of knowledge. You can see that we have an iceberg here. Explicit knowledge is what's on top of the water. You can codify it. You can document it. It's information and knowledge that you can see. There's a variety of ways where you can capture the knowledge here. Some examples are procedures, databases, how-to guides, videos. Tacit knowledge is that stuff that kind of lies under the surface. It's the stuff that people who've been here a long time or at your organization a long time, they just know. They know how to do. It's intuitive. It's really acquired through experience, and it cannot be reproduced or shared easily. It is distilled wisdom that a person possesses and doesn't necessarily know how they have specifically gotten the information. They just know it. Tacit knowledge occurs in the form of subjective insight, judgment, innovation, or inspiration, and it can be defined as personal wisdom, experience, and leadership skills. It's really that problem-solving expertise that's gained from experience rather than a manual or a database or a how-to guide. Key players in an organization have more tacit knowledge than a new employee has. Organizations consider tacit knowledge a competitive advantage, since it is really hard to capture and communicate. Employers strive to set up effective knowledge management systems within their organizations and have to keep both of these forms of knowledge in mind. There can be some challenges to successful knowledge transfer. One of them can be a resistance to change. Overcoming resistance is crucial for ensuring successful knowledge transfer. A continuous learning and development culture can encourage employees to share their tacit knowledge with others. Providing knowledge sharing incentives can drive the workforce development, a sound knowledge transfer plan, and using simulation or work shadowing. Effective communication and transparency amongst team members is also essential to reducing resistance to change. It's important that that knowledge sharing is part of what you do within your organization, that it is part of that culture of your organization. Another challenge to successful knowledge transfer can be a lack of motivation to share the knowledge. Motivating employees and giving them space to share their experience is crucial for the success of a knowledge transfer plan. Unfortunately, it's common for team members to hesitate when sharing tacit knowledge due to fear of job loss or even time constraints. I'm sure everybody hears every day how busy people are, and it is true. Coming up with those specific times where people can share their tacit knowledge is important. Ways that we can set this up is through shadowing and mentoring projects, especially between generations. It's important that we instill a team culture of explicit and implicit knowledge transfer and sharing. We can also reward contributors with incentives for sharing knowledge, create those spaces. In addition, formal training and adequate resources will help build employee confidence when documenting critical information via a knowledge management system. A third challenge that we can come up against is poor communication and collaboration. Effective communication and collaboration are crucial to ensuring successful knowledge transfer at work. Misunderstandings, incomplete information, and wasted time can arise due to poor communication. Therefore, it is necessary to use collaboration tools such as video conferencing, chat platforms, or project management software to enhance communication between members of your team. Regular team meetings and check-ins help maintain a common understanding. Regular team meetings that are on the schedule and happen regardless of all of the other things that are happening throughout your organization is essential for knowledge transfer. So we talked about the challenges. Let's talk about some strategies to help capture the knowledge. First of all, as I've mentioned before, it has to be part of your organizational culture. Incentivizing it, celebrating it, pointing out when people are sharing that knowledge can be very helpful in getting more people to share their tacit knowledge. When organizations positively reinforce people who are sharing quality knowledge with others, they establish a culture that incentivizes knowledge sharing behavior. You can create this through monthly meetings, conferences, town halls, presentations, and other one-on-one interviews with key people. One thing that kept coming up in my research was mentorship programs. Encouraging senior employees to train juniors and delivering lectures and information can be really important to spread that knowledge. Having junior employees shadow seniors and participate in informal discussions with their supervisors is another way that mentorship can happen within your organization. When you have more formal mentorship relationships, it helps new employees align themselves with organizational goals and deliver work per the company's expectations at a quicker rate. Workplace collaboration. Whether the organization has a flat or hierarchical structure, encouraging teamwork and workplace collaboration helps in effective knowledge sharing and management. Using collaboration suites like Trello or Basecamp can really track processes, and social messages like WhatsApp can help record informal discussions. A lot of information is shared between members of your team in those informal discussions. Documentation and the use of technology, information, and document management systems to store knowledge, especially when it is structured and easy to access, is another way that you can make sure that knowledge is transferred across generations. User guides, manuals, presentations, policies, they all help. However, there's a number of those informal ways of communicating that can be captured as well to help transfer knowledge. Meetings, I'm sure there's times where you can feel meetinged out, but when you have meetings that have a purpose, those are important for people to participate in. Regularly scheduled meetings are very important. Forums and informal groups, creating forums on an internal platform for employees to discuss work problems and processes can lead to sharing of tacit knowledge. Employees socializing during meal breaks or at casual outings can also enable a lot of tacit knowledge transfer among members of the team. Training is another way that we can help capture the knowledge and transfer it. Since tacit knowledge is mostly experiential, employee training becomes pivotal in knowledge sharing and management. Experiential learning can include on-the-job training, demonstrations, and simulations. Employees can see how a job is done and perform it themselves to learn better. Workshops, events, conferences, and meetups help employees understand how to approach a concept with different perspectives. There's also professional and social networks. Large organizations use professional networks like LinkedIn or premium features like LinkedIn Elevate to have employees share their knowledge in an exclusive tacit knowledge sharing platform. Each employee on these platforms may have a profile that explains what they do and what their expertise is within that organization. Then others can get on and see where they need to reach out to and who has that expertise that they may be looking for or lacking. There are a lot of benefits to successful knowledge transfer. The first one is improved performance. Effective knowledge transfer is not just about sharing information, it's about improving employee performance. Successful knowledge transfer promotes a culture of continuous learning and development within an organization and leads to improved productivity, reduced risk of knowledge loss due to employee turnover or retirement, and innovation by building upon existing ideas. Another benefit is reduced risk. Successful knowledge transfer is crucial for any organization to avoid unwanted knowledge loss. Knowledge transfer activities can include sharing best practices through work shadowing, mentorship, or formal training programs. These activities really safeguard the new cohort of team members from getting caught up in challenges that the team has already worked through. It increases innovation. Sharing knowledge and expertise among team members is crucial to achieving increased innovation. It enables them to build on each other's ideas and generate new solutions to problems. It promotes creativity and prevents redundancy in the work process. It can really enhance organizational agility. When employees access useful, explicit knowledge, it enhances your business's agility, And it also can reduce burnout. When people are being innovative and creating new ideas, they feel good about the work that they're doing. It can lead to faster decision-making. Having quick access to explicit knowledge means employees can make quick decisions without having to hunt through the organization for the right person with the knowledge. It improves communication. Documenting data and information to create explicit knowledge improves an organization's communication flow between members, between programs, and within teams. You also get the right access to information. Capturing and sharing your explicit knowledge means giving employees the right to access the right information at the right time. This improves knowledge flow throughout your business and allows employees to do their job more efficiently. So let's talk about intergenerational knowledge transfer. In order to get this knowledge transfer between the generations that Angela explained to us in their different communication style, you first have to create a culture that is inclusive of all generations. Currently, younger generations are more positive about their workplace's effectiveness at creating a culture that is inclusive of all generations than their older counterparts. This is certainly an area of opportunity for leaders and organizations, that there is still more work to be done to ensure an inclusive work environment across the generations, especially for some of the more veteran members of your team. The second thing that we need is to value the wisdom of older generations. To effectively prepare for the intergenerational knowledge transfer, it is not just about creating cultures that are inclusive, but cultures that value and honor the strengths of the different generations. It's important that everyone's voice at the table is heard, not just that they're at the table, but that we are creating cultures where their voice is valued and it is sought out. We also have to intentionally create intergenerational mentoring opportunities. Baby boomers have a lifetime of experience, wisdom, and relational capital that, if leaders are not careful, will simply walk out the door as the generation approaches retirement. This next decade is an opportunity for leaders to be intentional about creating opportunities for the younger to learn from the older. Different generations have different perspectives on the world, which they can share with other generations. Youth are more likely to understand and use new technologies as well as social media. Moreover, they are more likely to think creatively about how the company can make use of new technologies and suggest innovative changes. Older generations can give younger generations valuable information that may help them make better decisions in the future. Consequently, the exchange of knowledge between generations creates a culture of lifelong learning within an organization. Intergenerational knowledge transfer provides people with various opportunities to learn from each other. The younger generations get to learn from their elders, and the elder generations get to try new skills. Knowledge transfer across generations can help groups or individuals explore others' perspectives, respect each other's opinions, and build trust. This can lead to more productive and innovative workforces. Now, Angela is going to summarize all of this for us and wrap us up and take us into some Q&A.
Thank you, Dr. Beth. Now that Dr. Beth has explained how to transfer the knowledge and what knowledge transfer is, we're going to begin to look at some strategies for intergenerational learning. One of the things that you can do, one of the strategies you can have, is mentorship programs. Dr. Beth mentioned this. And what this is, you can pair experienced employees with younger counterparts for mentorship. You can facilitate knowledge transfer through regular meetings and collaborative projects. You can also do reverse mentoring. And this is encouraging younger employees to mentor senior colleagues in areas like technology or new area trends. You can foster a culture where learning is a two-way street. It's not all the times that you have an experienced team member foster a younger team member. It could go both ways. Cross-generational teams. Form teams that include members from different generations. promote collaboration on projects, encourage the exchange of skills and ideas. There was also strategies for mitigating knowledge loss in an organization. As Dr. Beth mentioned, that you can also have senior leaders mentor younger leaders, but you can also mitigate from losing that transfer of knowledge. So you can create knowledge transfer plans. You can develop structured plans for transferring critical knowledge from retiring or departing employees. Make sure you document key processes, contacts, and best practices. You can document and have knowledge repositories. Create comprehensive documentation for key processes and procedures. You can establish central knowledge repositories accessible to all employees. One important project is succession planning. Make sure you identify and groom potential successors for key roles. Ensure that there is a plan in place for the smooth transition and responsibilities. You can offer continuous learning programs. Encourage employees at all levels to engage in the continuous learning. Provide resources for ongoing professional development, and you can also conduct regular skills assessments. This is to identify critical skills within the organization. You can develop strategies to address any skill gaps that may arise. By incorporating these strategies, you can establish a robust learning culture that surpasses generation boundaries. Proactively tackling the issue of knowledge retention with your organization. The thoughtful application of just a subset of these strategies has the potential to fortify the institutional knowledge base significantly, thereby making a substantial and positive impact on the overall success of effectiveness in the workplace. So that is the end of our presentation, and we are open for questions.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. What an informative presentation. I really appreciate that. I'm going to go right out here and ask a question. Someone asked a question about the PowerPoint. You can let us know if we can share that afterwards, and we'll take care of that. Or I know that we do have a recording of this session, so everyone could actually see the recording within a couple of weeks. We just have to make certain that it is compliant for captions and what have you. So I know that the presentation will be in that as well. Quick question. It's a mentorship question. Is it uncommon for a middle-aged professional to reach out for a mentor, especially when wanting to change career fields internally?
I'll take that. Not at all. I think that that is something that should be encouraged, because anytime you're on the job, you're always learning. And that is an employee that is reaching out to learn more about the organization or maybe about a new position. I think it's encouraged to actually sought out someone who is going to be a mentor. And I think that more agencies to actually implement mentorship programs.
Agreed. I totally agree with that. Thank you. It's another mentorship question. Since I haven't done this before, could you give an example of how to word an email requesting mentorship?
That is an excellent question. So the email will be going to another person that you want to mentor you. Is that the way? Okay. I would just reach out and say, hey, this is Angela. I appreciate any knowledge that you can transfer. I'm looking to explore a mentor at this time in this field in the relation to whatever the skill is. Is this something that you can help me out with? Is there any time or date that we could meet? I would offer a date, so that way that they could follow up. Because a lot of times, I guess, employees may feel, obligated, or I don't have time for this. But some employees may actually feel like, oh my goodness, they've actually watched the way I work and they want to learn more about it. So I think that if you approach it in a way that you leave it open for them to actually return back to you, I think that that actually puts a timeline in. But other than that, it actually tries to say, hey, I really enjoy the way you work. I'm interested in it. Do you mind mentoring me? Hope that answers the question.
Would you suggest in that instance, because as I heard your answer and then read the email, the question, um, would you even suggest, instead of a cold email, like a cold call, that, hey, I'd like you to mentor, maybe a meeting, set up a meeting to talk to the individual, find out a little bit more about them, and then kind of make that request kind of in a more relaxed, formal setting, so that they're not getting a cold call? Would you
That
say
is an
that's a good
excellent
suggestion?
point. Yes, I think that's an excellent point. That's a great suggestion. And also it goes back to the communication styles. So it just depends on who you're actually opening up to mentor you or asking to mentor you. I would look at those communication styles because those are spot on. And if it's someone who is an older person or have been in the workforce for a long time, they would prefer a face-to-face. So that's an excellent point. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Another question here says, my staff consists of students who work part time and come and go. What would be the best option for training and refreshing their knowledge? They are all millennials.
You know, that is something that we struggle with also because there are different communication styles. So what I would suggest is what we have implemented is just different learning platforms. So, you know, you would have some, and we're also looking into maybe putting some on the cell phone because they are really hooked to their phones. So what we do is we do some training in person, we do some that are online, we do some that are hybrid. And then we're looking into maybe the cell phone because a lot of times they're looking for something that, like I said, their attention span is really quick. So you want to capture that in a short, in a way that they communicate best.
There was a brief moment in your response that you kind of froze, and I don't know if it was just me. Could you kind of repeat that again? I'm sorry.
Not a problem. I just suggested many platforms for training because it's something that we have a challenge with also. So if you want to, we're looking at maybe even putting training on their cell phone so they can access it through their cell phone. It just depends on, you know, how short the attention span is. And if you want them to access it, you have to look at their communication style and what they prefer. So I would just provide a platform of different ways to access the training.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Jennifer, did that answer your question? Just wanted to make sure I didn't have a follow-up question after that one response. Okay, here's another one. Can you please help address some strategies on knowledge transfer to the younger generation in the context of telecommuting? Zooming has made it more difficult because it requires intentionality from the younger generation, especially given lack of face-to-face interaction. The question was about strategies on knowledge transfer to the younger generation.
And I can add more. I mean, these are, my
Thanks,
employees,
Sam.
for example, the moment I bring them to the office, I require them to bring them to the office due to lack of performance, they quit. So I've had about 6 or 7 who said, okay, I'm moving on. I want to work from home, but it's becoming quite challenging to really pass on any knowledge there. Again, due to the intentionality, and it might be my industry. I'm in the IT industry. It could be my industry, but the olden days, it was much better when you can have somebody shadow someone, or
Sure.
you can have a conversation around the lunch table or the water cooler and things of that nature. So it's a major struggle there.
Sure, sure. I know one of the strategies when COVID hit was there were those after hours more informal sessions too that they may be looking for, which again requires intentionality. But I'm also wondering if for the younger generation, shorter bursts of knowledge sharing. So instead of an hour-long meeting, doing 4 15 or 20-minute meetings, which also requires those of us who are not in that generation to think differently and to prepare differently. I think sometimes it can feel not as efficient to do that for the older generation, but in retaining that younger generation, I think we do have to start thinking about ways where we can get them that information in much shorter bursts. I don't know, Angela, if you had another.
You have another question, Sam? Dr. Sam?
Oh, so I understand. I mean, it's going to extend the onboarding and make it longer than traditionally understood, right? So due to this is going to add more time to the onboarding process as well. Usually we count on 3 to 6 months, but that might add a bit more. And anyway, this is something that I'm struggling with. Yeah, would
So
love
I
any
could
perspective.
I've onboarded several faculty during the pandemic remotely. Some were you couldn't come into the office because of their physical location, and sometimes it's creating those water cooler moments. So immediately when we went into the pandemic, I created a weekly huddle, and that is where you get to know people outside of the formal work structure. And then recently created a collaborative space where we actually come together and brainstorm how to address issues or learn something from each other more peer wise. But I found that sometimes just modeling what we want is what we get, even in the remote setting. And I have someone started I mean, this is maybe they're going into their 4th week this week. And it's just really more intentionality on my part to make certain we create the space where there's no gap. And so I found that people are actually onboarding faster in the remote environment versus, yes, they can meet everyone, but our structure changed in how we onboarded um,
And
as an
and
organization as well.
you're talking about the younger generation faculty,
Yes. Oh,
millennial
yes.
faculty, or Gen
Yes.
X. I mean
Yes.
Gen Z. All right.
Right. With millennials. With faculty and non-faculty staff roles as well. So it's just modeling it, changing up a little bit, um, sharing our communication preferences, acknowledging the differences in their styles, because I found that there are those normal trends, but then you have different generations that still kind of some of them function outside of the norm for the generation. So if you're X that like technology, you may not still do well with face-to-face encounters. So just really learning what the individual wants more so just the generation.
Fair enough. Thank you.
That's an excellent point. And one thing I wanted to add too, a lot of times too, employees just want to be heard, right? They just want to know that you heard them. And even if you don't implement some of the things that they do right away, I think that if you just sit down, take time and just say, hey, I heard you, this is something we're working on, or maybe we can look at a different communication style next time, but this is what I need you to do today. So.
Correct. I have one question here. It says, how would you characterize the difference, if any, between coaching and mentorship?
That's a really great question. Mentorship, from my experience, is more mentee driven. It really is the mentee seeking out a mentor and then really defining. And I think that's the key. Anytime you're in a mentor-mentee relationship, you have to clearly define what you're looking for. I would even encourage you to have something in writing so it's clear. So if Angela and I are in a mentor-mentee relationship, if I'm the person she's mentoring, I'm really driving that process. I'm clearly outlining what I'm looking for from this relationship. And the mentor is really guiding and departing wisdom. To me, a coaching relationship is, well, I'm also saying to my coach, here's the things I think I need to work on. A coach really is kind of telling the person they're coaching, here's where I'm seeing some gaps. Here's where I think you should go. Here's what I think you need to work on. Coaching is more directive from the coach or the mentor, where I really see that mentor mentee relationship as driven by the person who's receiving the mentoring, at least in my opinion. But I think the more clear you can be about the expectation and the boundaries of that relationship, I think it's better.
Okay. Mia also shared that she finds that it is important. I find it to be important for sought out mentors to agree to the mentorship and that both parties are committed to the partnership and the relationship. That's a very good point that Mia shared.
Absolutely.
Okay, here's another question from Uma. Hi, Uma. Uma, actually, I have to say this. Uma is the student president of our SHRM student chapter, which I'm very excited that she's here. And she's also a doctoral student. Okay. Her question is, can your leader and mentor be different persons? And then I have a follow-up. I'll start off with that. And in that case, what if their both leadership styles are different? Which one should the employee follow? So can your leader and mentor be different people?
Absolutely. I would actually encourage that. Your leader, as in a supervisor, is a very different relationship than a mentor relationship.
Right.
Truthfully, yeah, a mentor can be somebody who's not even at your workplace or in your business. It might even be better, where you're going to get a much more well-rounded experience if they're not. The benefits of having a leader and a mentor, two separate people with two separate leadership styles, is you can learn more skills. You can certainly learn the whole spectrum of leadership skills. We all kind of have our natural tendencies of how we lead, but different people that you're leading or different situations may require you to pull on different experiences or different skills. Because just like having multiple children, you parent people different, you also lead people different based on what they need. And that really is the beauty of leadership, is being able to adapt to what people need.
That's awesome. That is very awesome. That's so true. A lot of times we teach in our classes, in our leadership course, that, your leadership style sometimes, even though there's a situational leadership theory, but even if you're a transformative leader, you may have to adapt a different style based on what's going on at that time. So I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. These are great questions.
Yeah.
They are very good questions. I see Oyama has joined us with his picture. He's been on the whole time.
Keeping an eye on us.
Yes.
Yes, he has been. He's looking because last year he launched the January session, and we had great turnout, just like we did today. Great. Are there any other questions we can answer for you tonight or this morning? I'm on tonight. Can you tell? Okay, so we thank Angela and Dr. Beth West for joining us today. This has been a very informative session that I know we can talk a lot about, because the intergenerational workforce is something that we're continuing to thrive in, and we'll continue to see more as the alpha generation decides to join the workforce. And I'm appreciative of your time and your energy this morning, and thankful for everyone that has joined us. Well, next month we'll have the perfect country, traits and characteristics of a good and decent people. Dr. Dean Guaco will be presenting here at that time. Please feel free to pre-register at the Franklin. The link is actually in the chat, and we look forward to seeing everyone at our next sessions. Thank you, everyone, and happy Wednesday. Stay warm, stay dry. Do whatever you need to do to remain productive. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Dr. Bowen. Thank you, Jenny.
You're very welcome. You can hang on.
Yeah.